Well, hi there, folks. Welcome to the program. This, of course, is Stinchfield, the podcast. Mr. President, listen to me. Do not lower the price of your Trump Gold Card. Keep the Trump Gold Card at $5 million. You lower it to $1 million, and the talk is there are those inside the Trump administration that want to do away with the EB-5 program. That's the about $1 million investment to come to America. You get residency here, but you got to create American jobs and you got to invest in American business. The EB-5 is a good program. It is America First immigration at its best. This idea about lowering the Trump Gold Card from $5 million to $1 million and doing away with EB-5, disastrous. So, President Trump, I urge you, do not follow the lead of anybody telling you to do this, and I'm going to explain exactly why we need EB-5 in place. In fact, I would say we need it expanded and get rid of the H-1B visa program that's totally being exploited and abused. The H-1B visa program, workers to take jobs that Americans can't or aren't willing to do. Give me a break. They're making like $150,000 a year, these H-1B visa holders, for jobs Americans can do. Get rid of that program. Keep the EB-5. Keep the Trump Gold Card. $5 million, you come in, you basically buy a passport. But EB-5, no citizenship with it, residency. Let's go through this because I'm really worried about this quiet push inside the White House to squash EB-5. And as someone who lives in Texas, EB-5 has been instrumental in moving the Texas economy along, and Texas should really be a model for the rest of the nation. Before we get into that, though, folks, I want to tell you about my friends over at PatriotMobile.com. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. It is the official cell phone service provider of Stinchfield's Army Y. It's America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. You can choose what network you want to be on of the big three, so you're not going to sacrifice service. Customer service is all U.S.-based. Switching literally takes just minutes. It is so easy to switch. You can keep your phone, upgrade, get a new phone. Patriot Mobile can help you with all those things. But I think the biggest benefit of Patriot Mobile is knowing a portion of the money they take in for you paying that cell phone bill will go to push conservative causes, will go to save America, will go to put on events that educate American citizens about what we're up against. Greatest company I know of that is pushing for American values and being unapologetic about it is Patriot Mobile. Stop funding the woke left. Get with Patriot Mobile. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. 972-PATRIOT. Use that promo code GRANT for a free month service, and I promise you, you won't regret it. Let's get the show started.
Uncensored and unapologetic. This is Stinchfield. Here's your host, Grant Stinchfield.
All right. I love the idea of a Trump Gold Card. $5 million. You use that money. You can pay down debt. You're a wealthy immigrant. You want to come here. You want to get a pathway to citizenship. Pay your $5 million. But do not lower the price of the Trump Gold Card to $1 million and do away with the EB-5 program that has immigrants coming here and investing in American businesses, employing Americans, paying taxpayer dollars, both at a state and federal level. Do not do away with that program. That program is literally the greatest America First immigration program available because you're having wealthy immigrants come in, educated immigrants come in. They don't get citizenship. They get residency, and they invest in American businesses that employ American people, and they pay taxes like every other business does, and that goes on in perpetuity. So the Gold Card is a one-time fee. You pay the money, it's over. Why would you do away with EB-5? Well, I am getting word that Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick is the mastermind behind the idea of doing away with the EB-5 program and lowering the Trump Gold Card to $1 million. This is a bad idea. Now, I like Howard Lutnick. This guy's a fabulous Commerce Secretary, maybe the best we've ever had. But I would respectfully disagree with him on this issue. You can still bring in people at $5 million to pay down the debt. That's a good idea. $5 million is a big price, a lot more than $1 million. But the $1 million is perfectly situated because you get immigrants who are just wealthy enough they can put the $1 million up, but they're probably going to work in the business. They're going to be very focused on the business that must employ Americans under EB-5 requirements. And in the end, you're going to have a long, everlasting infusion of cash into the coffers of America because of the taxes that the business is paying as they grow employees, the taxes the employees are paying. All of that can help start to pay down the debt, not just a one-time fee, one and done. One and done is never good in my book. So let me go through some of the reasons why I love the EB-5 program. So EB-5 brings foreign investors in, okay? And it pushes their money into American projects. It infuses foreign cash into American projects. You have real estate deals, manufacturing, infrastructure, you name it. And all of this must employ people. The investment typically $800 to $1 million, maybe a little more. You get residency along with that, with the visa, when you get involved in the EB-5. These are not projections I'm giving you either. These are real jobs with EB-5. Let me lay this out. From 2016 to 2019, $75 billion in total investment in America thanks to the EB-5 program that directly employed Americans. How do you get any more America first than that? 1.7 million American jobs were created because of the EB-5 program. Now, think of that. 1.7 million jobs created. You spend $5 million on a Trump gold card, you don't get any jobs. You lower that price to $1 million. Why would anyone invest in the business? They're just going to come and pay their Trump gold card. They're in. They don't have the headaches of anything else. They're not going to invest in America. It'll backfire and we get a one-time benefit of it. And according to the way the Trump gold card is set up, you'd get citizenship. EB-5 doesn't give you citizenship, just gives you residency. And you're not going to get any jobs. You lower it to $1 million. There's no jobs created with that. There's really no benefit to Americans. So keep the $5 million, pay down the debt, but this $1 million level, 800, 1.2, whatever the number is, this is what it has done. $122 billion in wages to Americans paid between 2016 and 2019 for this EB-5 program. $14.5 billion in tax revenue. $14.5 billion. You're going to need an awful lot of $5 million immigrants to get to that number. I mean, seriously, I don't know if you can. And every 500,000 attracts $1.6 million more. So you put 500 in, you get another 1.6 investment benefit coming from all kinds of people. So think about what EB-5 does. It imports capital into America. Mr. President, I know you speak this language. Donald Trump speaks the language of capitalism. We want to import capital. We really don't want to import labor. That's what H-1B is doing. It's importing labor. We want to keep labor here. So do away, in my opinion, with the H-1B program. H-1B replaces American workers with cheap foreign workers. That's not good. EB-5 is mandated to employ Americans, and it raises wages, not decreases them. This is why this is a win-win-win. So to everyone out there, let President Trump have his gold card. No problem. It must be at the $5 million price. Don't destroy the one immigration program that works. That's EB-5. We see it on the ground here in Texas firsthand. I can't tell you the opportunity zones that have been created here that is basically like a magnet bringing in foreign capital to Texas, employing Texans. This can happen, and it does, across the country, but America does not need more cheap labor. What we need is more investment, and this is what President Trump is doing. So, Howard Lutnick, Mr. Secretary, I would urge you, if you want to talk about this with me, I'm happy to discuss. Let's sit down. Let me give you my ideas for where we can go with the EB-5 program and expand it as we limit H-1B and then keep your gold card, but keep it at $5 million. And you know what happens when we do that? Everybody wins. Mr. Secretary, Mr. President, hear me on this one. Trust Stinchfield. I promise you we'll get it right. I want to keep America first immigration policies in place, not do away with them. And I certainly don't want to sell away citizenship for bribe money. We're not in the business of selling passports. What we're in the business of is selling the American worker and the American dream. And you invest here and you're going to have it all. All right, folks. I also want to tell you about my friends over at the Wellness Company. TWC.health/Grant. Use the promo code GRANT for 10% off. They're running a deal on Ultimate Spike Protein. Go online and get this. If you took the vaccine for COVID, you need this. If you've ever had COVID, which basically means all of us, you need this. This is a daily supplement that will build and burst your immune system, get it so strong, and it fights back against that spike protein that does so much damage. Dr. McCullough is the one that came up with this. I urge you to do that. The other thing that I love is TheraBlue. This is the pain gel. It penetrates so deep thanks to the peptides that are in this pain gel. TWC.health/Grant. Use that promo code GRANT for 10% off. And don't forget the weight loss medication, Grant 100. $100 off of Drop. It's really a supplement. Peptide-based Drop. Grant 100 is the promo code for that. Now, on to something that I'm very, very happy about. It appears a grand jury has already been formed. Subpoenas apparently have been issued to Governor Tim Walz and Mayor Jacob Frey. Frey, governor of Minneapolis, Walz, governor of Minnesota. Frey, mayor of Minneapolis. I meant to say mayor of Minneapolis, Walz, governor of Minnesota. Grand jury has been formed. Subpoenas have been issued to Governor Walz and Mayor Frey. These Minnesotans are conspiring to get in the way, stand in the way, upend, block, inhibit, impede ICE operations in Minnesota. That's a crime. And this is what I'm looking for from the Trump administration, from the Trump DOJ, to have the stones to go after leftists like this. You want to block and encourage street goons to attack ICE agents, to film them, to dox them, to impede their ability to go out and capture real criminals. Well, then you must be put under investigation yourself, Frey and Walz. This was Walz talking about everything going on there, and I want you to listen to him carefully because he's such a hypocrite. As we talk about immigration and how it destroyed us here, I want you to see how he literally makes the case to shut down immigration, but he doesn't even know he makes that case.
Imagine if that city or that town was suddenly invaded by thousands of federal agents that do not share the values that you hold dear. Imagine if your daily routines were disrupted. The local cafe that you eat at was shut down because they're scared that their own family might get torn apart. Imagine if schools shut down and suddenly parents got to figure out what to do for daycare.
Hey, bozo, you just told the story of what happens with overwhelming, unfettered, illegal immigration. You want to say, oh, ICE agents are coming in, causing such a problem? Try living in Texas during the Biden years, when you have tens of thousands of illegal aliens flooding cities and towns that do not believe in the same value system as American citizens, that overwhelm schools, that overwhelm hospitals. You just spelled it out. Imagine that happening. Hey, Mayor Frey, I imagine it happening. It happened in my state and most other states across this country as that problem became so prolific. You are such a ding-dong, you don't even realize you just made the argument for why we have ICE on your streets today. Do you think the Somalis in Minnesota share the same values of heartland Minnesotans? They come from Somalia, where literally, I hate to say it, but it's true, where corruption and crookery is a way of life there for people in Somalia. Why would we be surprised that they come to Minneapolis, set up mini Mogadishu, and why are we surprised that they're engaging in corruption and crookery? Of course they're going to do that, which is why ICE is on your streets. You know, there's 600 Minnesota police officers, Minneapolis police officers. Minneapolis has 600 police officers. We now have 3,000 federal agents on the streets in Minneapolis. Who brought them there? They did. Once the fraud was uncovered, agents flooded the city. Let's stop the fraud. It's pretty clear. Makes sense. Yet they don't want to see it. They really do see it. They just don't want to admit it. Now, these street goons, the reason why Walz and Frey need to be investigated for conspiring to impede ICE operations is because they encourage goons like this. Do you think the guy on the left of your screen here is a guy you want to invite over for dinner? You want to meet in the back alley? This is the guy who stole a rifle out of an FBI car. Nick Sorter had it on camera. He's instrumental in the arrest. Great friend of this podcast and the Real America's Voice show. I'm going to play you Nick Sorter on Fox News with Laura.
You just talked to a high-placed source at DOJ. Tell us more.
Yeah, so he wasn't arrested last night. He could have been, but the Minneapolis police didn't bother chasing the vehicle that had just stolen a high-powered rifle out of an FBI car. So that stole it out of one of these weapons lockers that was in the back. But what I can confirm now is that Raul Gutierrez, age 33, that you see in the video that I posted last night, stealing a firearm from an FBI vehicle, has been arrested by the ATF and the DOJ. They executed an arrest warrant today, and he's a known member of the Latin Kings gang. I just got all this information just before I came on air. He's got a lengthy, violent rap sheet. Of course, he should have been in prison already, but in Tim Walz, Minnesota, like they don't arrest anybody here. So it's not surprising that he was able to go out and beat this gun safe to a pulp and pull this automatic firearm out of it and run away with it. And, you know, hell, if it wasn't for, honestly, a lot of us independent journalists on the ground that were able to get a video of this, nobody would have seen it happen.
Wouldn't know about it.
They were able to find this guy based on a video from independent journalists, the one that we posted last night. I mean, it's crazy that it has to be us doing this.
So, Nick, did you talk to DOJ to get his name?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's I've been in contact with Attorney General Pam Bondi throughout the day today. We've talked to them several times.
We'll take that as a
lot more material that I haven't posted. Yeah, and so they've been there's a lot of FBI stuff going on the ground right now that I can't talk about. But there's
so great work to Nick Sorter. And let me tell you something: the Latin Kings, these are bad dudes. These are, as President Trump says, these are bad hombres. Latin Kings rule the streets. You know, a lot of people don't understand a place like Hartford, Connecticut. Hartford, Connecticut is some deep hood, man. You think of Connecticut, Greenwich and Farmington and the manicured lawns and mansions. You try going into inner city Hartford. There's projects there, man. It's bad. Latin Kings rule Hartford and still do. And they've expanded across the country. That's a bad set of dudes. You know who else is out on the streets there? Antifa. Antifa's on the streets. How do I know? Because they tell us. Again, just like the Muslim terrorist, just like the radical Muslim that wants to take over America, I believe them when they say what they say. Now, you tell me, I found this, or a Stinchfield's Army member actually sent it to me on Instagram. You tell me if you believe this guy. He's a self-described member of Antifa, and he says hell is coming to ICE agents.
Hello, I'm Kyle, and I am Antifa. We are under occupation, and we are fighting back with every tool we have at our disposal. That has been extremely effective, and we have pushed ICE so hard that they have doubled their size and they have increased the severity of their tactics in an attempt to scare us into submission.
This guy's scary, man. Like, not that I'm scared of him, but this is a scary dude. Because I don't know what he did there. It almost sounded like racking a firearm. I have no doubt in my mind that this guy will engage in violence against ICE agents. I don't think he's a scared pussycat hiding behind a veil of social media. I actually believe this guy will do what he says, take to the streets and harm people. I really do.
They're brutalizing children. They're kidnapping people from legal employment. They're kicking in front doors without warrants.
Here's the other thing that I believe. I actually believe that this goon believes that that is actually happening because he believes the news and he hears what he wants to hear. And so all the devious reporters, all the propagandists that are pushing this stuff, activating somebody like him, are literally doing exactly what they need to do to activate someone like him. And I think he actually believes this, unlike the Ilhan Omars of the world that know full well that ICE is not doing this. Watch him some more.
They are brutalizing people in public and then laughing and joking about it. This is where ICE has come to die.
It's where ICE has come to die? Now, you may be a scary guy. You may have a firearm. I hate to break the news to you, Mr. Antifa, Mr. Clean. ICE is going to be highly more trained than you. ICE is going to have much more firepower than you. And ICE is not going to just roll over easily. I don't believe that's a fight you want. And it's sad that it has to get to the point where you have citizens picking up arms against agents who are literally enforcing the Constitution and the laws on the books. These are not federal agents that are going out and doing something illegally. As they did, by the way, during COVID. Locking us down. That was illegal. We don't live in a nation where you get locked down or arresting J6ers or going in and raiding a president's home. These are not legal, law-abiding investigative tactics they were engaging in during the Biden administration. But right now, there is nothing illegal about what ICE is doing, and yet these goons want to kill them for it.
I'm more than willing to keep the peace if they will go back to wherever they fucking crawled out of and leave us alone. We want to know who they are. We will identify every single one of them, and we will prosecute them to the full extent of the law. And if that has to be done at the barrel of a gun, then let us have a little fucking fun.
Do you believe him? I do. I have no doubt in my mind that that man wants a gunfight. What the hell does he have to live for anyway? He's got tattoos all over his neck. Antifa, who's going to hire him? I mean, seriously, like, he has nothing to lose. And that's the problem with these no-life losers. They have nothing to lose, so they take to the streets hoping to become martyrs in all of this. So, ICE agents, you heard the warning here. I have no doubt in my mind this is what they are planning on doing. It really is. Now, I'm going to show you some examples of reporting on this from Minnesota. And before we do that, I want to get into who ICE agents are actually arresting. And even that goon, are you going to tell me you want a Latin King on the streets or a Trinidad gang member, child molesters, murderers? You really still want them on the street? Is that the people you're worried about being ripped from their workplace? A pimp? A sex trafficker? Come on. So I'm gonna show you some of the people that they have been arresting and ultimately set for deportation. And it'll show you just how dopey these leftists are. Let me tell you about my friends over at Energized Health. EnergizedHealth.com is where I want you to go to take your life back. You get hydrated at a cellular level, everything changes. They will show you how to get that hydration into the cells. That's what has been scientifically hard to do until Energized Health cracked the code. EnergizedHealth.com is the website. I went on the Energized Health protocol. I lost 15 pounds in 2 weeks and have kept it off. After the weight came off, I started to grow muscle mass. My joint pain went away. Mental clarity came back. There's talk about diabetes going away. Cancer issues improving. This intercellular hydration is like the holy grail. What is it? Go watch a masterclass. EnergizedHealth.com. That's EnergizedHealth.com. It's short, but it's worth watching. And then what I would offer up is book a call with them. You book a call. They'll talk to you about it. It's not high-pressure sales tactics. You just talk to them about it. And I think you're going to want to get on board and have the same success that I had. So many people come up to me everywhere I go and says, thank you for turning me on to Energized Health. EnergizedHealth.com. That's EnergizedHealth.com. All right. Let me give you an example of some of the people that are being captured in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
And Brett, just moments ago, DHS released yet another worst of the worst list of criminal illegal aliens arrested by ICE right here in Minneapolis. Yesterday alone, they include a convicted murderer from Vietnam, a man from the Marshall Islands with 24 separate criminal convictions, and multiple convicted drug traffickers. We'll send it back to you.
24 separate convictions? And he's still on the streets? Like, how is he not convicted the second time? All right. I would say the first, you're here illegally. We've now got you. Once you serve your time, you've got to go home. You're going to be deported 24 times. By the time you get to 8 or 9, is the judge not like, maybe this guy's got to go home? Maybe. No, not in Minneapolis. Let him out on the street. Let him go, go sell drugs to somebody else. Gosh. It gets even worse. Listen to this.
For their neighbors. Well, here's some of those neighbors that they're standing up for. This is ICE apprehensions of criminal illegal aliens. Galwak Rotgai, convicted of homicide and assault. Mariama Kanu, convicted 2 counts of homicide, 4 DUIs, 3 counts of larceny and burglary. Ty Lohr, convicted of 2 counts of homicide. That's just 3 out of dozens that you have picked up in the city of Minneapolis. You know, to quote Mr. Rogers, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
You're right, and I don't think anybody in Minneapolis wants that. Wants that type of criminal element in their neighbor. They don't want that person as their neighbor. Going to the same parks where their kids are at.
So what's Frey talking about?
The bad thing is there's such a hatred for the work that ICE does that they're putting this political ideology ahead of public safety.
That is exactly what they're doing. I've got to believe if you go in to inner city Minneapolis and you say, "Hey, do you want?" Let's just look at some of these. Let's just look at some of these people here. You've got this guy, Galuk Rotagai, convicted of homicide and assault. You think they want him in the hood? I wouldn't think so. Mariamu Kanu, 2 counts of homicide, 4 DUIs, 3 counts of larceny and burglary. Now, you understand what burglary is. Burglary is literally breaking into your home or your car, your private space, violating that sense of freedom. And they're not deported. We have to have ICE tracking them down. Why wouldn't they just turn them over to ICE? We don't want these people here. You know what? After you killed 2 people, after you drove drunk 4 times, after you do that, we're tired of you, even in liberal Minneapolis. But no, not the case. Who is the third one? Third one, this guy. Convicted of 2 counts of homicide, Ty Lohr. How about after the first count of homicide, you say, you know what, we're going to try you, put you in prison, and then you go, how do you get 2 counts? Unless you kill 2 people at the same time, I guess. Either way, get them out of here. And I've got to believe the people of Minneapolis, Minnesota want that, just as the people of Abilene, Texas would want that. But that's not what we're seeing. So instead, The reason why people feel so sorry for the illegals, why you're ripping them from their workplace. They stole your identity to give a fake Social Security number, and some legal Jose Rodriguez is dealing with unpaid taxes because somebody stole his Social Security number, but the media won't tell you about that. They'll only tell you stories like this. This is so unbelievably pathetic. And they want it to be heartwarming for you. Feel sorry for this poor guy. Why didn't you get straight, man?
Erica Gallardo and her 2 young sons are now at the center of the divisive immigration enforcement after the heart of their family was taken in by ICE.
Like a nightmare. The nightmare just, you think he's gonna walk through the door and he's not.
He was the greatest dad I ever had.
For Gallardo, who has cerebral palsy, the detention is especially difficult since Ademir Ramos was not only the family's breadwinner, but also main caregiver.
Now, how do they find these people? The guy with 2 kids and his wife has cerebral palsy? And the main caregiver, the breadwinner, the father of the household was ripped away from his family. Listen to me. He came in illegally and never got right. So that's a dereliction of duty to his family. He knew he had to be looking over his shoulder at all times.
He was the one that did everything for us, our laundry. He was the one that went grocery shopping.
Gallardo giving us this video of the 40-year-old being taken in Saturday while working a landscaping job in Pico Rivera. This concerning scene of agents attempting to grab 2 other landscapers in Downey Saturday, prompting residents to take to the streets, protesting ICE's actions.
It's devastating because this is hitting all of us. You know, the fact that they're able to profile and stereotype.
Dozens turning.
They're not profiling and stereotyping. Everybody she just mentioned was here illegally. This ABC 7 reporter doesn't do that. I believe this is Los Angeles area. Again, just doing the propaganda work of the left. The landscapers. What were the charges behind those landscapers? Do they have anything behind them? And even if they didn't, it really doesn't matter. They snuck into the country illegally. They're working illegally. Their employer is paying them illegally. It goes down the level of illegality. Even to the most well-intentioned illegal alien, is a series of crimes being committed just for him to stay in this country, or her. You think that this reporter talks about any of that? No.
Out for Downey City Council meeting, calling on lawmakers to do more to end the raids.
I want you to know that we are with you.
But there is little they can do since it's a federal action. As for Gallardo, she says she's overwhelmed by the kindness of the community after the boys' school set up a GoFundMe to help them with essentials and to get an attorney. She says Ramos came to the U.S. 20 years ago on a work visa for Guatemala and says he was dedicated to his family.
Why? Why are you doing this? There's worse people out there and they're not doing nothing to them.
They're trying to get the worst people. But do you notice that's the end of the story, by the way? Not one other side to that story. Not one soundbite saying, hey, you know what? We've got to get illegal immigration under control. Not one go to the county hospital in Los Angeles, overrun with illegal aliens, and say, how much are the people of Los Angeles paying for the health care of illegal aliens? The schools, some of the worst school districts, if not the worst school district, LA Unified. Why? Because many of the kids don't speak English. It's not the kids' fault they're here illegally. I'm not blaming the children, but I am telling you this problem of illegal immigration filters all the way down to the schools. So now American citizens aren't getting a good education because of that. Not one comment about any of that from this reporter. It was, why aren't they getting someone else? The reality is, it doesn't matter if someone is worse. You committed a crime. That means you are subject to deportation. 20 years ago, you came on a visa from Guatemala, which means you didn't sneak into this country. You came in on a visa and you decided to overstay the visa instead of renewing the visa, going back and getting another visa, asking for citizenship. But along the way, you just ignored it. Why? Because politicians led you a line of bullshit for the most part, that somehow you were going to become a naturalized citizen and that they were just going to give everybody amnesty. Well, we know that was never going to work. I'm going to put the Democrats past it. But that's the line they were sold, so they never did anything. And it's irresponsible that you don't do anything. Now, I will say this. I saw this news report that seemed to be a little more balanced.
Video from law enforcement taking Yorvis Carrasco Campo into custody in the area of Little Overlook Street just off South Union Boulevard on Wednesday. He and 10 other TDA members are accused of killing a man they allegedly tortured before shoving him in a suitcase and burying him in the New Mexico desert.
So think about the difference. You get the guy in cerebral palsy, mom, and I'm sorry she has cerebral palsy. I really am. I don't want anybody to have to go through that. But the two kids and the breadwinner, and then the other one says, hey, guess who else got taken in? A TDA member, Tren de Aragua. Again, Latin Kings, Tren de Aragua, they're all bad. Pulled in. This is Colorado Springs TV.
Venezuelan national is also accused of sex and drug trafficking, several kidnappings, and being in the U.S. illegally. Carrasco Campo faces up to life in prison.
Yeah. That's the kind of reporting I want. Those are the kinds of people that need to hear. Those are the kinds of people that we need to have people hear who's getting picked up. I don't think people understand just how bad these folks really are that are going through this. I really don't. Bad. All right. Pam Bondi on Minnesota and the deep state in her office. The deep state in her office now literally basically saying, we quit because we don't think it's fair. Well, I don't give a rat's you-know-what if it's fair or not. We want what's legal, just, and constitutional. Pam Bondi.
In Minnesota. What happened in Minnesota? We had 6 prosecutors who suddenly decided they didn't want to support the men and women in ICE. One of them was busy doing a photo shoot with the New York Times while ICE was out there risking their lives. So they came, they said, we want to resign, but we want to use our annual leave up until April, meaning they wanted the taxpayers to pay for them to go on vacation because they decided they didn't want to support law enforcement. So the breaking news tonight, I fired them all. They're fired from the office. And our U.S. attorney there, Rosen, he's great. He was just confirmed 3 months.
So I'm going to tell you that we have a real problem inside the Department of Justice with deep staters still very dug in. And I believe there's a good possibility that Pam Bondi is being duped by some. There's a woman named Jocelyn Ballantyne who is the assistant U.S. attorney in D.C. I don't understand why this woman still has a job. So my friend Cara Castronova exposed her as a swamp creature. I brought on Stuart Rhodes of the Oath Keepers and my buddy, Lieutenant Colonel Ivan Rakelin, to talk about Jocelyn and what's going on with the deep staters inside DOJ. I'm going to talk about that. I'll play the interview with you with Stuart Rhodes of the Oath Keepers and Ivan Rakelin. It was really a fascinating interview. Before I do that, I want to tell you about my friends over at VRA Insider, Vertical Research Advisors. These guys have a newsletter, but it's more than a newsletter. It's a system to get your portfolio returns of 30, 40, 50%. They averaged 35% last year. That's far better than the market, far outperforming the S&P. In fact, 21 out of 23 years, they have outperformed the S&P 500. Amazing. VRAinsider.com. You go to that website as a special gift to Stinchfield's Army members. They're giving a free 2-week offer where you get their newsletter for 2 weeks. They send it into your inbox every morning, and I read it like clockwork. It's great. It's not complicated. It's literally 10 stocks that they pick. You can come in and out of, but they're basically hold. You're not day trading. And end of the year, you're going to be amazed at your results. And this guy is well known, Kip Harridge. He's called the Nostradamus of Wall Street. He predicts everything. This is his newsletter. Check it out. VRAinsider.com. VRAinsider.com. Get that free 2 weeks. Take advantage of that. You got nothing to lose. VRAinsider.com. Okay. So Kara Castronova, she used to be a fighter. She's great. I love her boyfriend. He's a great guy, works at Newsmax. She has done such a great job. She's over at Mike Lindell TV, and she has been exposing deep staters left and right. I'm going to play her entire report on this woman, Jocelyn Ballantine, and then we'll play the interview with Rakeland and Stuart Rhodes.
In this week's edition of Lindell TV's Swamp Creature of the Week, we feature career prosecutor Jocelyn Ballantine, infamous for allegedly attempting to frame President Donald Trump. Here's the tale of the tape. Jocelyn is an assistant United States attorney at the U.S. Department of Justice in the Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia. This swamp creature is disguised as a middle-aged woman, approximately 55 years old, disheveled, bleached blonde hair, with an undefeated record of politically persecuting Trump supporters and allies. And MAGA wants to know, why is this deep stater still working at the Department of Justice, this time assigned as lead prosecutor in the case of the alleged J6 pipe bomber? Jocelyn Ballantine is the J6 kangaroo court prosecutor accused of a brazen attempt to literally frame President Donald Trump. Ballantine was accused of asking J6 defendant Enrique Tarrio to perjure himself and falsely testify that President Trump knew the Proud Boys would be at the Capitol on January 6th. Allegedly, Ballantine tried to armbar Tarrio into lying under oath and saying the message was delivered to President Trump by intermediary Roger Stone. Tarrio refused to frame President Trump and was sentenced to 23 years in prison instead. Ballantine is also famous for working on the prosecution and political takedown of General Michael Flynn. That case was dropped after it was determined the FBI used unethical interview tactics and the DOJ withheld exculpatory evidence that helped in Flynn's defense. J6 whistleblower Jeremy Bertino has also come forward and accused Ballantine and her team of asking him to commit perjury and testify to false facts in exchange for his freedom. Now, Ballantine's conduct is being questioned again as she is back in the spotlight as lead prosecutor in the case of the alleged pipe bomber Brian Cole Jr. A few weeks ago, I questioned President Trump about Jocelyn Ballantine.
Mr. President, how do you feel about the lead prosecutor on the pipe bomber case? Jocelyn Ballantine is the same prosecutor that allegedly asked the J6er to lie to frame you for J6 when you did nothing wrong. What are your thoughts?
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that question. It's sort of a statement, and I appreciate it very much. Jocelyn is being looked at. They all have to be looked at. What they're doing is so bad. This was a whole Democrat hoax. The whole thing was a Democrat hoax, and it's all being looked at. I appreciate that.
Despite the seriousness of the allegations, Ballantine remains employed by the Department of Justice and continues prosecuting politically sensitive J6 cases. On January 6, 2026, she rushed a federal grand jury in the pipe bomb case just in the nick of time before that statute of limitations ran out. But critics now argue the focus may be backwards. Some are asking whether a federal grand jury should instead examine the conduct of this prosecutor, Jocelyn Ballantine, herself. Potential alleged areas a grand jury could examine include prosecutorial misconduct, subordination of perjury, witness tampering, abuse of authority, and obstruction of justice. To be clear, no charges have been filed, and Jocelyn Ballantine ignores reporters.
Do you find it surprising that you still have a job at the Department of Justice? Did you work with some of the former Senate staff of senior influential Senate leaders there at the U.S. Attorney's Office to make sure that Mr. Ed Martin would not be the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia to expose your involvement in covering up for the Fed's insurrection? Ma'am, care to comment?
I tried to ask Ballantine questions in a D.C. courthouse, but she hid in a conference room until reporters left. Why is a prosecutor facing repeated allegations from defendants and Trump allies still working for the federal government and being paid by taxpayer dollars of regular Americans she has been accused of politically persecuting? If January 6th is about accountability, accountability must apply to everyone, including Jocelyn Ballantine. Reporting for Lindell TV at the White House, I'm Kara Castronova.
Great work, Kara. Kara was a boxer, pretty accomplished at that too. And she's taking that fight to Washington, and she does great work there. I tell you, this is always going to be a team effort in order to make sure that we take down the radical leftists, the deep state, because it's going to take more than one entity or one person. Take all of us together to make this happen. So because of that report, I brought on Stuart Rhodes. You remember Stuart Rhodes? He was one of the founders of the Oath Keepers. He was had his sentence commuted, not pardoned. And Jared Moskowitz, the Democrat congressman, spotted Stuart Rhodes in the audience at the most recent new Republican J6 committee. And Moskowitz raised a good point. You know, in fact, I think I might have the Moskowitz. Did I play it with him? Let me see. No, here we go. This was Moskowitz after he spots Stuart Rhodes, and he raises a very, very good point. Listen.
But yeah, he's here. I mean, I don't know. You have any questions, my colleagues across the aisle, for the head of the Oath Keepers that's sitting in the reserved section of this hearing? I mean, he wasn't pardoned. He's still convicted of seditious conspiracy. Something you guys say didn't happen, right? If there wasn't an insurrection, I don't know how you get convicted of seditious conspiracy.
Is that the future setup job? So there you have Moskowitz, who says basically, hey, how are you only commuted sentence? If there was no seditious conspiracy, should you have been pardoned because there's no crime that was committed? They may be setting up President Trump, if they, God forbid, take back over Congress, to use this as part of the impeachment. Well, look, this crime was committed. You admit it was committed because you didn't pardon them of it. Maybe. Well, I brought on Stuart Rhodes and Ivan Raiklin to talk about that, and, of course, Jocelyn Ballantine as well on the Real America's Voice show. I want you to watch this interview. Here, Colonel.
Yeah, we absolutely have a problem because I almost am of the opinion, not almost, I think what happened with Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, Judge Janine, and Dan Bongino when he was there at a press conference laying out the case to the American public that they supposedly found the pipe bomber. I think that the evidence that they were presented were probably from Jocelyn Ballantine in her office. She's the deputy chief of the National Security Division of the U.S. Attorney's Office there. And so the evidence that she compiled, even in the statement of facts in the indictment, it's so, I don't even know what to say other than it's not plausible. It's not believable. But yet Jocelyn somehow convinced the entire Department of Justice leadership that this is the pipe bomber. It makes absolutely no sense.
All right, Stuart Rhodes, can you tell me about Jocelyn Ballantine? I know you know most of these J6ers, especially the ones that were caught up for a long time. Her role in all of this?
Well, she was caught red-handed suborning perjury in the Proud Boys trial. Well, first of all, she directly offered Enrique Tarrio a get-out-of-jail-free card, go home, while he's being held in solitary confinement, if he would say that President Trump sent them into the Capitol. And I know I could have gone home. Same offer would have been made to me if I wanted it to just turn on President Trump. But Enrique is an honorable man, as myself and my co-defendants refused to do that. But she was also caught red-handed, supporting perjury. Coercing a false confession out of Jeremy Bertino, one of the Proud Boys, who has, subsequent to President Trump coming back into office, has now admitted in an affidavit that he was coerced. He was threatened with life in prison, like we all were, and he took the deal and agreed to testify against the Proud Boys, and now is remorseful. So she's been already caught twice, suborning perjury or attempting to suborn perjury. She should be run out of
that we know of.
Right, that we know of. She should be run out on the rails.
Okay.
And all of them did that. And there were, like in my case, there were two Capitol Police officers who were caught red-handed committing perjury who are still not indicted for perjury. So this DOJ is sadly acting exactly like the prior DOJ. I see no difference.
All right. You still have your sentence has been commuted, but you're still convicted of the crime, as I understand it. So Jared Moskowitz, in some respects, raises a valid point that, hey, if nothing happened, how can you still be there still be a crime of seditious conspiracy? And I'm worried. A friend of mine, Troy Nels, now he's been a fighter for J6. This is not a guy that I think would roll over to Democrats. But let me play a clip of him today and then let you respond, Stuart.
There was never a call to violence. There was never a call to violence or a call to storm the Capitol. That was something the militia groups are craving and created on their own. The Oath Keepers, Proud Boys, Antifa, 3%ers, bad actors that day, gotta say it, bad actors. They were acting alone and not listening to Trump. Stuart Rhodes stated that if Trump didn't do what they wanted, they would have to do it themselves.
I believe, Stuart, you're better off to answer all this and respond to him, that he's misconstruing different groups and what actually happened, and maybe you can respond to his comment there.
Well, it was shocking. I expected Markovitz and Raspin to attack me for being there, but it was shocking to see a Republican on our side, supposedly, adopting about 90% of the false narrative from the left. The false fedsurrection narrative from the very beginning has been that President Trump ordered the Oath Keepers and Proud Boys to enter the Capitol. That's why Enrique Tarrio was offered a deal to say that President Trump sent him inside, and I could have taken the same deal if I had wanted to. So out of the gate, they were trying to present this false narrative that Trump was the kingpin, we were his lieutenants, and then the Oath Keepers and Proud Boys were his shock troops. That's why only Oath Keepers and Proud Boys were charged with seditious conspiracy. I mean, Enrique wasn't even in the Capitol. I was in the Capitol in Washington, D.C., but not inside the building. We were there doing volunteer security for 2 permitted events on Capitol grounds, Latinos for Trump and then also the Stop the Steal rally. So we were there for legitimate purposes. We were there to protect Trump supporters, but they spun our presence being there and the fact that some of our guys went inside. And while they're inside, they helped police. That's all they did. So, but they took that and ran with it as the false narrative of J6. And so it's disturbing to see a Republican adopting Liz Cheney's talking points, Jamie Raskin's talking points from the corrupt J6 Select Committee in 2022. I mean, they said at the outset of this hearing the other day that they were going to be getting to the bottom of J6, dispelling the lies of the prior J6 Select Committee, and then telling the truth. But they've, at least he has. Unfortunately, Mr. Nels has adopted the false narrative.
Well, we'll have to have him speak for himself. He has been a real defender of most J6ers.
He has, and I was sitting there in that room with them, and it was surprising to hear it coming out of Troy Nels' mouth.
Yeah, shocking.
And Colonel, this is why I ask you now. Colonel, you are very concerned about the future of what happens if we lose Congress. Explain to me your biggest fears.
I mean, there are many fears. I mean, tomorrow the Democrats take over in Virginia, so they can start weaponizing from the whole Commonwealth of Virginia on everybody that's works or lives in Virginia from this administration. And furthermore, going into the primaries in 2026, if the Democrats take over, the lawfare will not pause. It'll only escalate. And so when that takes place, I think they have a leg to stand on from a legal argument, particularly Raskin. He's the lead constitutional lawyer on behalf of the Democrats in the Congress, to go ahead and start impeachment and then relitigate his impeachment hoax number 2. Because let's face it, if President Trump doesn't pardon the Oath Keepers and Proud Boys that were commuted, it's still on the books that you have convicted felons, and they can relitigate that and say that Donald Trump was the one behind the insurrection that they failed yet to convict him on. Right. They're just going to continue the lawfare. So I don't understand who's advising him in the White House or the DOJ or White House counsel, David Warrington or Todd Blanche or Pam Bondi or Susie Walz is maybe saying that, no, you need to continue to commute them. Certainly. Meanwhile, this is hurting Donald Trump.
Certainly,
it creates unnecessary risk for him. Talk about the two cases.
Yes.
Well,
quick point.
I've got to go, guys, because I'm short on time here. But literally, one way to get this done would just simply be put a blanket pardon out to the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys. I think you deserve it, and that would start the process. Stuart Rhodes, I appreciate you coming on. Ivan Raiklin,
Real quick,
thank you.
5 seconds, Grant. He's a co-defendant with Donald Trump in 2 civil trials from the U.S. Capitol Police
to this day
and Congress members.
Right now,
Troy Nels saying that hurts President Trump.
All right. Well, we'll be watching it, which is why I bring the both of you on. Colonel Raiklin, there's nobody that sees the field like he does, which is why we love having him on the program as well. All right. It is true. So all fascinating stuff about what we do about all of this. And in the end is we need Republicans with cojones to stand firm and stand strong when it comes to all of this. And so that's what we've got to have happen. Hey, have you heard about my course, themavericksystem.com? Themavericksystem.com. You know where this is really making a difference? With kids. If you've got kids, all right, this is also for adults. I didn't even make it with kids in mind. But if you've got kids, especially boys, where you want to lead them down the right path, themavericksystem.com is the website I want you to go to. It is about a mindset shift, rewiring the brain to win. Now, if you're an adult and you're not getting the promotion, for some reason you're not getting the respect you deserve in office, you got a business you want to buy, and for some reason things just aren't going your way, there's some reasons why that may be happening. This could turn everything around. Themavericksystem.com, themavericksystem.com. This is about going on offense. It's about how to start winning. It's about how to start thinking like a winner, and anybody can use it just to polish up their alpha-ness. And this is about becoming a compassionate alpha. And I use those two terms together. I know sometimes people think they don't go together. They do. Be a compassionate alpha, a badass that gets what he or she wants. Themavericksystem.com, themavericksystem.com. Folks, did you see this hockey game the other night? Watch this. It's kids that go at it. One of the most unbelievable brawls I think I have ever seen, especially amongst children. And the crowd is going crazy. Do you have a problem with the crowd going crazy here? In some respects, I do. Like, I know it's funny and all that stuff, but we really shouldn't want our kids doing this. We shouldn't want our kids engaging in this. And yet, that's exactly what's happening here. Where's the adults? There's nobody there as they just go at each other. Like, literally nobody there. Kids flattening each other. Where are the coaches? Where are the parents? Who thinks this is okay? The crowd's going wild. I don't really like it. I know fighting is a part of professional hockey. It's not a part of high school hockey. It's not a part of, I don't know what you call it, pee-wee hockey. I don't know. I didn't play hockey as a kid. But it's not a part of youth hockey. It's part of the NHL because it's entertainment, like WWE. But we shouldn't have our kids. I don't mean to sound like a curmudgeon or the old guy, but that's not what we want to be teaching our kids. I will say it was pretty crazy. Watch it. Look at these kids. See, here I am laughing. I'm falling into the trap. I mean, watch this. Bam, from the back. Out of nowhere. It's a bench clearing brawl with the crowd going wild. Where are the coaches? Are there no referees for this match either? They're going to have to bring out the NHL players to go break this stuff up. But again, I don't think that's what we want to be teaching our young people today. I really don't. All right, that's going to do it for us, folks. I so appreciate you tuning in. GrantStinchfield.com is the website. Like, subscribe to the podcast, please. Hit the like button, hit the share button. If you're taking part in some of these raids that we're doing that our moderator Shelly has organized, we're gaining followers because of them. So thank you for that as well. I don't really even know what it is. Somebody's going to have to explain it to me. But Stinchfield's Army rolls because of all of you out there, and I'm grateful for every single one of you. Thank you. We will see you on the Real America's Voice Show tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll see you then.